This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Monday, March 2nd. We made it to March, huh?
Yeah.
I'm here with Alan Brandon, and I'm Tori. Lindsay has the day off. Let's get right to it. Fears about the coronavirus here in the U.S. are getting very, very real. For the first time ever, 2 deaths were reported in Washington state. A man in his 70s became the second person to die from the disease, as officials say the virus could have been spreading in that community for weeks unchecked. Meantime, the total number of cases in the states jumped by over 24. Right now, there are at least 86 confirmed cases in the U.S., with New York State, Rhode Island, and now we're hearing Chicago recording their very first ever patients. And at stores like this all across the nation, I mean everywhere, people are stocking up on the basics like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and water, leaving some stores' shelves picked clean. And even the Surgeon General is asking the public to please stop buying face masks, tweeting, quote, "They are not effective in preventing the general public from catching the coronavirus, and it could lead to shortages for healthcare providers." Meantime, globally, more and more tourist sites are closed, like the Louvre Museum in Paris, over fears of the public spread of the disease. Are we getting more real now that we see actual deaths in the United States?
I just keep telling myself what Dr. Drew said.
Yeah, me too.
Worry about the flu, not the coronavirus. I know, Brandon, I know that face, but Dr. Drew's never let me down, and it's what I need to move
Dr.
forward.
Drew, like, that sounds like a talking point to me, man, because I keep hearing this on certain media outlets, and I hear people say this. Yes, I'm worried about the flu. I'm going to wash my hands and do all that other good stuff
Good,
like
you should
that.
do that anyway.
But when we're talking about the rise in Italy, we're talking about the rise in different countries, why do we think that it can't happen here? I don't understand
Well,
that.
I think we think that it can happen here. I just think that it seems like they're trying to make it like it's this deadly disease, like that movie Outbreak. Nice reference. Sorry, millennials.
Yeah. Wow.
But, you know, it's like, I think it's a little bit worse than that, but I don't think it's as bad as the flu.
Right.
I've had a family member that had the flu. He was 5 years old. It was very, very, very scary. He was hospitalized for 3 days. So protect yourself against the flu, and I feel like you'll protect yourself against coronavirus.
But to be honest, the mortality rate is almost similar to the flu. What's interesting is that 80% of people who have it in China have mild cases. So I think that's what Dr. Drew is trying to tell us, that it's not always, like, children aren't getting it. So there is some good news to this. But again, it kind of freaks me out, too.
Yes,
The National Collegiate Players Association has asked the NCAA to look into not having a crowd for March Madness.
Wow.
That's where we are right now. So we might have March Madness, which we all love, and it brings us together. Of course, it's sports, but we may be watching it from our TVs, and they will have no crowd noise, no nothing. And just think of what's that going to do.
That seems like a dream that the players would be having, like just playing in the NCAA but no crowd.
It's like a nightmare.
Yes,
well,
it's weird.
They canceled Sunday Mass because the Pope has a cough, just so you know.
Ooh.
And they also are canceling anything big, like maybe the Olympics won't have spectators. That is an option on the table.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem.
And I love you, Dr. Drew.
Oh, man, we do. Yes, we love you, Dr. Drew. We're less than 24 hours away from Super Tuesday,
Yeah.
when 14 states will hold.
Is that when I can get 2 tacos?
No, it's about voting. It's about voting. You're the worst, Al. Mayor Pete Buttigieg has ended his historic run for president after he finished 4th in South Carolina's primary on Saturday. Here's what he told supporters in South Bend, Indiana, last night.
So tonight, I am making the difficult decision to suspend my campaign for the presidency. I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we have a new Democratic president come January.
Whether or not you liked him, historic run. A 38-year-old out of nowhere with a hard name, gay, married, a mayor. All of these things were against him, and he ran a beautifully choreographed and I thought his speech was very critical, but to the point. I think we'll see more of Mayor Pete.
Yeah. One of the debates, he was the front runner not too long ago. So you saw a roller coaster and who's become the front runner or who's falling back. But I mean, it's admirable for him to step out right now. But like you said, I think we're going to see him in the future.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
He's a
Now,
rock star.
I agree, but tomorrow's Super Tuesday, so if he is going to endorse Biden or Bernie, he's got to do it today. So stay tuned to us.
And you said you think he's going to go with Biden.
I think he'll go with Biden for sure. I think they've had alleged phone conversations, so I'm interested to hear about that. Well, a controversial video of a police shooting in Chicago is raising all sorts of questions. We need you to see this. 2 police officers shoot a man twice at a train station after they tried to arrest him for a city ordinance violation. Can you believe this? He was walking between 2 train cars, which is punishable by a fine. Well, a warning to our viewers, this video is a little graphic. Let's take a look.
Give your hands. Give your hands out.
Okay, shock. Even people in the studio are shocked. Chicago's mayor tweeted this about saying, in part, the video is extremely disturbing. The actions of the officers are deeply concerning. The FBI and the state attorney's officer are investigating, and an attorney for the men said he is in critical but stable condition after being shot in the abdomen and in the buttocks. Really quick, he was walking between 2 train cars. They tried to arrest him for that.
Not moving train cars, so we need to clarify that.
Yeah,
I was
cart to cart.
Yeah,
right, car to car.
like
He didn't go
walking.
outside. He was
right.
inside. Yes.
Like a jaywalking in the car, right? And they tried to take him down and arrest him, and he did resist arrest. So then they pepper sprayed him, as you saw him kind of with his eyes. They tased him, and then at some point, they shot him twice.
I just, I don't know about you guys, and there was an audible gasp when this just happened in the studio right now. It just reminds me of that saying, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yes.
And there's countries where their police are not armed. I'm not saying that should happen here, but when you do have a firearm with you, you're more apt to use it. They say that's for most homeowners. So, look, if we're going to have our officers with firearms, they need to be trained on when to use them.
And de-escalate the situation. You shoot twice at a busy station? Brandon, what do you think when you saw this?
I mean, we're honest here,
Please.
right? At DBL, I think this is going to blow up and become huge. I think you're going to see a lot of people come out the woodwork on this one because it was 2 black cops that just shot an unarmed a white man. Now, I want those same gasps and I want that same energy for the prior videos that we've seen when there have been unarmed black men shot. So I'm going to remove myself from that part of the conversation. But yes, I do agree with you, Al, where our officers need to be trained better when it comes to when to shoot and when not. It looked kind of like an accident in a way, like she was startled.
Not two.
Yeah, but then the second one,
No,
I'm not trying to justify that at all or anything, but
I think it's important that you bring that up, though, the racial connotations. We're in Chicago, which is such a racially charged town. The police already have a major deal with the community.
Yes.
I think it's fair for you to bring that up, so I appreciate that.
Very much so.
Yeah. All right, well, we have more shocking video. More. This time, right here in Colorado mountains, where a woman was caught on video trying to pet a wild moose that was wandering through town. Let's take a look.
That girl's an idiot. You're an idiot. You're.
Get away!
Yeah, what do you think it was going to do?
I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And not only just for herself, but the person filming it. There was a person that seemed to be a little bit older behind her that was kind of obscured. I don't think people understand, because we look at animals, we see them, fortunately or unfortunately, in the zoo. You don't really see them in the wild, and they're not. This is not a Disney film. That is a couple ton animal.
Bullwinkle is what you're saying.
It's like, this is an educated, like, she knows that's a moose, doesn't she?
Which is why I know I become the bad guy when I say these things, but the girl who jumped up in the lion's den in the zoo, and her, we should be talking. I'm sorry. We should be talking about their fine. We should be talking about they're bleeding out in the snow right now. Like, let's be straight. Let's be honest. That is some sort of either drugs or some sort of privilege to where you think you can walk up, alleged privilege, where you can walk up to a wild animal. I watch Alaska State Troopers and Life Below Zero.
Whoa,
hey man, that's my Sundays.
Yeah, I feel you.
Sunday fun days in the London
I like
house.
that show too.
But you just, it's a wild animal, Tori.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you're putting other people at risk.
It's very strange.
Completely agree.
Very. I was going to make an amuse-bouche joke again, but it didn't.
Do it, just real quick.
No, I just did it, and it wasn't going to work. All right, this is crazy. We need to know your opinion. Is it ever okay to terrorize your own kid? So a father, using this bear filter, scared his son in a video that's going viral. Is it funny, or did he go too far? We need you to watch and decide for yourself.
I'm just a bear driving.
Daddy, is that?
Nope, I'm a bear. You're in my world now. You want to go home?
Yeah.
You are home in my bear cave.
I'm laughing, but it's not. That's traumatizing.
I bet you that little kid won't go touch a moose.
Probably not. You know, my thing is, like, I don't think that kid is going to sleep well for a week, and that's the issue. Yeah, I think, you know, we were all laughing in the studio, but there's a bunch of 30-somethings in the studio and 40-somethings. But I think for this kid, this could, like, you can traumatize your kids by doing this.
Yes.
And is it worth it? I mean, that bear is scared. That's not like a Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
That's like a scary.
Jurassic Park CGI
That kid
bear.
is not having a good time.
No. I used to think my dad would turn into a lion whenever I left the room. I sometimes still do.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but this is like when you think that you're a little kid, your imagination is all over the place. That's got to really freak
And
you
is
out.
it confirmed that he doesn't?
Right. I don't know.
So you're okay with your kid watching SpongeBob where their heads blow up, but you're not okay with a guy with
I think it's a different
fake bear
dynamic
thing
when it's
on?
your dad.
And also, it's a cartoon. Kids is like SpongeBob's a cartoon.
That was a cartoon filter.
Well, tell that. Did you see that kid? Did he look like he recognized
His
that?
dad is in the front seat. It's a filter. It's on the phone.
That little kid was scared. I
Yeah,
feel
I don't
you,
know.
Brandon, but that little kid, that could be like lifelong trauma. You're going to end up paying for that.
I agree.
Literally.
I agree.
Psychologist.
Nice. You
Thank
guys
you.
done?
We are now.
Okay, DBL coming up. Lizzie chats with living legend Santana and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Why retirement is easier said than done. Later in Chatting with the Stars. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host.
Me?
The average dream wedding in America costs more than $40 grand. But is it worth it? DBL Nation is divided. Your comments coming up next.
I want to go into some of these comments. Let's see.
Oh, XOOX says it's worth it. My parents terrorized the hell out of me and I'm fine. I don't know, man. If you're a sensitive kid and that happens to you, you're kind of like,
Yeah, my youngest
edge.
would not be feeling
Ford
that.
would not like that.
No, he would not like that at all. So, I mean, you know, and there are parents that do have, I feel like you have to be able to read your kid.
Right.
Because anybody that has kids, especially multiple kids,
Right.
knows that they are not cutouts of you and your wife. They
Right.
are different individuals. So I know kids that would have thought that was hilarious.
Right.
Like, do the bear filter again,
Right,
Dad.
right. But Lawson wouldn't have liked it, I don't think.
I don't think so either. That's Jeff's
Oh, sorry, yeah. He doesn't like big mascots and stuff. And having your dad like change so realistically.
Think about how scared kids get at Santa when you go put your kid on the gigantic red man's lap.
But the
kids
kid
get scared.
is looking at a phone. The dad doesn't have.
But the phone is real to them. They
Yeah, the
grew
phone
up with
feels
the
like
phone.
reality.
They look at the phone is more reality than this.
But what about cartoons? Like what?
But that didn't look cartoony. That looked very realistic. Like that looked like a bear head, and he was like, "Oh, you're in the bear cave."
Yeah, I mean, I think if the
Dude
kid,
went far.
if the kid's 2 years older, I'm with it.
Okay,
What do you think
so
the kid was
Yeah,
maybe 3?
yeah.
I was thinking like 4. Maybe,
Yeah, 3 or
still in
4.
the
So
car
maybe if
seat,
he's 6 or
4.
7.
Because that was too young. The kid was like, "Stop it!" And then it was like,
Kids do get like that from time to time. Like my
Really
niece,
freaked.
she gets like that. I'm sitting there because I'm 35. I'm sitting there. Stop being a little baby, but then I forget like you're 2.
"You're awful." That's
Wow,
awful.
great.
You're 2. You're 2.
That's a
Sorry.
terrible
Uncle
thing to
loves
say.
you. Here, come here. Yeah.
Oh, and remember, this virus has hit every continent except Antarctica.
I wonder if it can't survive them.
Well, apparently Antarctica is becoming a tourist destination
Yeah,
because
people take
it was
cruises down there.
65 degrees the other day in Antarctica. Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and many Americans are in the process of either saving or spending money to get married, and the debate is on the price tag of that special day. So a new poll says a picture-perfect wedding will set you back more than, drumroll, I gave myself a drum roll, 42 grand.
42 what?
I know. This includes an open bar and a live band for about 100 guests. So DBL Nation, how much should a wedding cost, and is it worth it?
42 grand for a wedding?
Yeah, Brandon.
I'd agree with
it's an entire industry.
Let's get to this. Comments. Chris from Facebook says, spend what you and your fiance are comfortable with, but you should never go into debt for a wedding. And I'm with you on this one, Chris. I'm single. I don't want to mingle anymore. I would love to get married, but if marriage is going to cost me 42 grand,
Brandon, you're doing that.
Yeah. I'm not doing 42 grand. I want to go to the Justice of Peace and have a party.
She's going to touch your hand and say, will you do it for me, honey? And you'll be getting out the old checkbook. What's up, Wells Fargo?
I got that black card, too.
Mortgage again.
Thomas from Facebook says at that price tag, they must be counting the cost of a set for wedding rings for about $30,000. Unfortunately, Thomas, they are not. That's what they cost. When there's a venue that if me and Brandon want to just throw a party and it might be $5,000, when they find out you're saying I do's, now that same venue is $15,000. And it's really that serious. It is no different than like when you walk into the Gap or something. If you want a shirt, they're going to try and sell you a belt, and by the time you realize it, you're up around $42,000. You say, I want to make this the most special day of my life, but don't forget the most special day. You got a lot of days after that, and you don't want to be in debt.
That's true. Well, Hillary from Twitter says, if you have the money, why not spend it? If you don't, buy a house instead.
That's the choice? Okay. One day or a lifetime of a house?
Look, I think you just have to be clear about boundaries. But when I got married, I didn't realize, as Al said, everything costs more than I thought. Like, thousands more than I thought. Like,
and you're a practical person.
And I'm a practical person, and I was like, the flowers were like insane. Everything was just tremendous. So if you want even a good-looking wedding, it sort of is a classist thing because it starts at that level. It's insane.
But that's wedding beauty is in the art of the beholder.
Not really.
Like,
if you want good chairs and
flowers,
well, you can get away with it, but it's weird to have an empty wedding with no flowers.
That is strange, Brandon.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel like Brandon's about to have a cash bar.
My grandma's house.
Brandon's got cash bar,
backyard,
cash bar, and just Bud Light in a tub.
I'm like, Grandma, get some jungle juice. Tommy from Facebook says, I don't believe weddings should cost more than $1,000.
Whoa.
I got happily married for less than that.
There we go.
Mazel tov. And when we live in an age where 51% of marriages end up in divorce, that 42 grand you're going to need for your divorce lawyer.
Wow. Good. Just a great sentiment to end on, Brandon.
Lovely way to end.
Just the destruction of a relationship.
That's right. Hope and love. We love you, Brandon. All right, coming up on DBL, did Santana really record Smooth in one take? And did Earth, Wind, and Fire really not like their iconic hit September? Lindsey Granger gets to the bottom of all of it. Coming up next. Doris Shoemaker, 49-year wedding anniversary.
I bet you they didn't spend 42 grand.
She says you can't tell you what it costs, but not much. Well, I think inflation. I mean, yeah. Now it's a thing, which is so annoying. It's a Pinterest thing. It's an Instagram thing.
Yeah, because I think that you also know that whether, especially for the bride, and I think it's unfair and unfortunate, but other people are going to judge you.
Oh yeah.
You know, which
really?
yes, man.
What do you care about
people?
They're not
judge
even
moms
in their marriage.
on, like, if you ever look on Pinterest, people be like, oh, that's the cake you got for your 10-year-old. I put sparklers in my cake. Like, if you're getting judged on like a 10-year-old's birthday party, what do you think's going on? Because you've also got to remember, competition is a thing. And if you've been to 3 of your homegirls' birthday weddings, and somebody released doves, somebody had 15 stretch white limos. Somebody got married in Acapulco or something.
I needed a Christmas lights to.
You're gonna want to try and keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you might look at your husband or your spouse or your wife or your whatever the dynamic is and just say, hey, why aren't we able to do that? I think it's a real thing.
Oh man.
I know, Brandon. Start saving.
42
Start saving, Brandon.
42.
Or get that tub of Bud Light. Welcome back to DBL. Carlos Santana and Earth, Wind & Fire are about to hit the road together, and I'm excited. I'm super jealous because my girl Lindsey Granger chatted with the living legends all about it in today's Chatting with the Stars.
I cannot believe I'm talking to living legends, Earth, Wind & Fire, and Carlos Santana. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. I can't wait to talk about your joint tour, but I have to ask, what do you guys have against retiring?
What?
What's that?
What is that? Retire to what?
Well, Earth, Wind & Fire, what about you guys? Golfing's just not in it for you?
That's something I don't understand. What we do is like pretty much who we are. So how do we stop being who we are?
And it's hard not to bring up the cultural impact that September had, and it still has.
Do you remember?
You had a huge hit on your hands?
I don't think Philip can chime in on this, but I don't think he was very enamored with that tune.
I wasn't impressed.
Right. The body part, he was like,
I wasn't impressed.
What are you singing about here? What is this? Songs we do every night at the end of the show, and people still love it. It's probably one of the most played tunes by Earth, Wind & Fire there is in our catalog.
Wow. And Santana, is it true that you also weren't a fan of one of your biggest hits, Smooth, when it was first heard?
Said to Clive, I think we have enough tunes, enough songs, and I'm not feeling this one. This one feels a little discombobulated. And he goes, trust me on this. This is what I do. He says, well, why don't we do it live in the studio with Rob Thomas? I said, okay. So it was taken, we did it, and Smooth has become what it is.
Wow, you never hear about one take and done. That's awesome. And this isn't the first time that you guys all toured together. The first time was in Europe in 1975. So aside from a few years and gray hairs, what's different this time around?
I think the level of gratitude is huge. Yeah. Now our music has longevity, and we're very grateful, very appreciative.
What about for you, Carlos?
When I hear Do You Remember, I visualize Earth, Wind & Fire igniting people to remember their own light. It becomes like a calling to remembrance that everyone is imbued to create miracles and blessings. And so, do you remember? You came to this planet to bring unity and harmony and to heal fear and to joy.
I love that. Carlos Santana, Verdine White, Philip Bailey, Ralph Johnson, thanks so much for chatting with us today. Have a great tour, and I can't wait to check you guys out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vince. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great interview. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
This is the kind of card that has America talking.
Justin Combs and Lorianne Gibson, welcome to Daily Blast Live. I can't wait to talk to y'all about bringing back Making the Band. But first, Christian, Justin, and Quincy, I have to tell all you guys, I used to work for your dad, Diddy, at Revolt.
Hey, it's lit, so you know how it goes then.
Exactly. I know how much work you got to put in. It was not a game over there. Let's talk about Making the Band. I read that the goal of the show is to bring back R&B, which I love. So what exactly are you guys looking for?
We looking for just some hungry artists, some singers who go out there and just showcase their talent and really make us move and make us feel something. It's up to us to go out there, find the superstars, and bring it back to our pops and make this superstar band.
And it's an interesting process we're taking, but not unfamiliar, because we're just almost like going through the process that you went through before when you saw what it takes to really become an artist and go through that process and, you know, create sustainability and it not just be about this overnight success.
Now, speaking of training, Lorianne, I've seen you in action at Diddy's Spin to Get Loose video shoot, like the boom cat, you were not playing. A lot of people said you were the best part of the original Making the Band. So what can we expect from you this time?
I think it's going to be even crazier because since then I was young and my gift was very early in its development. And now, obviously, after Making the Band, you know, collaborating and defining Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj, Katy Perry, the Jonas Brothers, Demi Lovato, you know, Alicia Keys, the list goes on, Missy Elliott. But beyond that, I am clear at being the best of what I do, and I'm very passionate about that. So when I have young artists that have a dream, a warrior for them so that they can figure it out, define themselves, and be ready to become the biggest version of themselves that they knew they always could become. I'm definitely Muhammad Ali of this thing. I'm definitely Phil Jackson.
So guys, listen, your dad has obviously a huge influence and impact on the music industry. So how has he prepared you to judge these rising stars?
Starting from we were like 3 years old, or starting now?
No,
we've been in the studio. We've been in the studio our whole lives. One, just playing the background, whether it's flies on the wall or actually touching the buttons. So we've been in the process of things.
We're programmed.
Yeah.
Naturally programmed. And you know how it is with our father. He pushes you to your absolute greatness. Like he'll make sure you get there. So yeah, we're more than well equipped for this.
Now, not only can singers audition for the show through MTV Online, but they can also audition through your 4-city tour across the U.S. So listen, come on, guys, we have that interconnection. You got to share some details that you didn't tell anybody else.
Well, Atlanta, Houston, Charlotte, New York, get ready. Just get ready, because this is definitely a movement. It's a conversational shift. I mean, Puff Daddy's back. He never left, but hey, if you want me to...
And we here now.
And the Coast
Yo, come on, y'all gotta pull up on it.
Please pull up.
Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, New York.
Listen, I'm gonna send in my audition tape. I can't sing. Maybe I can be a background dancer, Lorianne. I got a couple dance moves in me.
Send it in, you never know.
Christian, Quincy, Justin, and Lorianne, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I can't wait to see the show.
Thank you.
soon.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments, Al.
All right, we have a couple really good ones. Obviously, the wedding talk. We were talking about it during the break. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Gabriel Garcia, great name, says a wedding should cost however much your budget allows. So that's one thing.
The problem is that your budget isn't. You start off with the wrong budget. I'll just tell you right now. Well, whatever your budget is, increase it by like.
Yeah, but I think even if you start off with a budget and you're like, okay, we can spend this amount, then somebody's like, well, for another $500, you can get red roses. For me,
I know.
For another $500, you could get this champagne. Yeah. I think Jeff said that, our coach Jeff said that they were just gonna have a regular dance floor, and then all of a sudden they're being sold a dance floor that lit up. Ooh. And it's just like that. He was like, no, we're going to the courthouse. So
yeah, he strongly agrees with the courthouse.
Yes.
Would you guys elope or do courthouse if you got married? No?
Courthouse reception?
No, I want my grandparents to be there.
I feel you.
They can still go to a courthouse where they got warrants?
Oh my God. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. We love you, Brandon's grandparents.
Yes, we do. We love you. Love you, grandson.